What happens when a decorated special warfare operator gets publicly humiliated by a one-star general who thinks her last name is the only reason she's wearing that uniform? Stick around, because what comes next will make you question everything you thought you knew about earned respect versus borrowed glory. Picture this: Fort Campbell, Kentucky. A stuffy briefing room where the AC barely works, and the coffee tastes like it has been sitting since last Tuesday. It's early morning, and tension hangs thicker than the humidity outside. A 27-year-old petty officer first class is about to present urban combat tactics to a room full of senior officers. Her name is Lennox Graves. And yeah, that last name should ring a bell if you know anything about naval special warfare. Her father, Medal of Honor recipient. SEAL legend. The kind of operator whose name gets whispered with reverence in teams across the country. But here is the thing nobody in that room seems to understand. Master Chief William Graves has been dead for 6 years, and not a single time. Did he ever make a phone call or pull a string to help his daughter's career? The man believed you earned your spot or you didn't deserve it. Period. Lennox stands there, ready to share lessons learned from actual combat operations in Mosul. Information that could literally save lives. She's 5'8". Lean muscle built from hauling gear through urban hellscapes, with gray eyes that have seen things most people only experience in nightmares. Her uniform is pressed sharp, her posture professional. She's done this brief a dozen times. She'll be routine. Then Brigadier General Marcus Hale walks in, and you can feel the temperature drop. This guy's old school army, third generation West Point, with a single star on his chest and enough confidence to fill an aircraft hangar. He's got 2 Iraq tours, 3 Afghanistan rotations, and a chip on his shoulder the size of a Humvee. Hale served briefly with William Graves back in 2006. Watched the SEAL get recognition and promotions, while his own career moved at a crawl. Old wounds have a funny way of festering, and when he spots Lennox at the front of that room, something ugly flickers across his face. Recognition. Calculation. Dismissal. He doesn't see an operator. He sees an opportunity to settle an ancient score with a ghost. 30 seconds into her presentation, A interrupts. Questions whether Navy personnel have anything relevant to teach Army infantry. Suggests that liaison positions are where they stick people who can't handle real deployments. Asks straight up if she's ever actually been in a firefight or just watched from some safe operations center miles away. The room goes silent. You could hear a pin drop on that worn carpet. Officers are suddenly very interested in their notepads. Colonel Patricia Vance, the intelligence officer who specifically requested Lennox for this task force, looks like she's mentally drafting a complaint to the Inspector General. But Lennox, she doesn't flinch, answers every question with calm precision. Confirms her to combat deployments. Outlines her role in direct action missions. Provides specific examples of tactical problems solved while bullets were flying. Her voice never rises. Her expression never changes. Just facts delivered with the same courtesy Hale refuses to extend. It's not enough for him. The questions get sharper. Mori. Personnel. He brings up her father directly. Asks if standards got lowered for legacy candidates. Suggests her advancement is suspicious, given her age and gender. The words are carefully chosen to hover just below outright insubordination while making his opinion crystal clear. She doesn't belong here. Then he stands up, walks around the table, and as she turns to address another question, he grabs her by the collar. Not violently, but firm enough that her head jerks, and everyone freezes. 24 witnesses. He tells her maybe if she spent less time riding Daddy's coattails and more time proving actual competence, people might take her seriously. The audacity, the absolute disrespect, and it gets worse. He announces that before she can present anything operational, he wants to personally verify her qualifications through a practical evaluation. Right then, that afternoon, Colonel Vance stands up slowly, reminds him in a voice colder than Arctic wind that unwanted physical contact with subordinates could violate military law, and that any training evaluation better have proper safety protocols. Hale waves her off like she's a mosquito, says it's professional guidance, nothing more. Lennox stands there with a red mark on her collar, hands relaxed at her sides, and agrees to whatever evaluation he wants. Her voice is steady, professional, completely empty of the rage everyone knows she's entitled to feel. But inside, she's calculating, running probabilities, because she learned something in Mosul when operations went sideways, and staying calm was the only thing keeping her team alive. Emotion is a luxury you can't afford when survival rests on the line. Let's rewind and talk about how she got here. Lennox grew up in Virginia Beach, 3 blocks from the ocean, raised by a newer nurse mom, and a SEAL dad who deployed so often his presence felt like a vacation rather than normal life. Being William Graves' daughter meant expectations. Everyone assumed she'd be naturally tough, disciplined, gifted at anything, tactical. Reality was messier. She was smart, but had to grind for grades. Athletic, but never the fastest or strongest. Good with her hands, but only after practice that left them raw and aching. Her dad never pushed the military route. Encouraged college, maybe medicine. Anything that didn't involve watching people you love come home broken or not at all. She was 19, finishing sophomore year at Virginia Tech, when he called from Ramadi. They talked about nothing important for 20 minutes. Classes. Terrible. Mystery selections. Whether the Redskins would ever win another Super Bowl. He sounded tired but optimistic. 3 days later, insurgents ambushed his element during a clearing operation. Master Chief Graves drew fire away from his team, held a position alone for 7 minutes against impossible odds, and died ensuring 12 other SEALs made it home. The Medal of Honor ceremony was beautiful and terrible. The president spoke about courage and sacrifice. Her mother accepted the medal with shaking hands. Lennox sat in the front row at Arlington, wearing sunglasses and a black dress, watching them fold the flag with mechanical precision, and felt something cold and absolute settle in her chest. 93 days later, she walked into a Navy recruiter's office with her father's challenge coin in her pocket, and a single goal: prove she belonged in this world on her own merit. Make the name Graves mean something because of what she did with it, not just what her father had done before. Boot camp was straightforward. The physical screening test nearly broke her. She passed on her 3rd attempt. Barely. Hell Week showed her depths of exhaustion she didn't know existed. During second phase combat training, she fractured 2 fingers on her left hand, wrapped them in tape, loaded up on ibuprofen, and finished anyway because quitting meant proving right everyone who whispered she was only there because of her name. Her team leader took a gunshot to the pelvis in the first 30 seconds. After that deployment, she requested the liaison assignment. Told herself it was about sharing lessons learned, making sure other units didn't walk into the same disasters. Deeper truth, she needed space from split-second life-or-death decisions. Needed to prove value in contexts that didn't involve combat. Needed to step out of her father's shadow long enough to figure out who she actually was. Underneath all that weight, so when Hale designed his little evaluation that afternoon, he thought he was exposing a fraud. What he didn't know was that he'd just given her a stage to demonstrate exactly why. Nabled Special Warfare had recommended her first when asked for their best tactical expert on urban operations. The training area sits 2 miles from headquarters. Mock-ups designed to simulate everything from residential compounds to industrial facilities. Heat already building toward oppressive. Hale lays out the scenario with the tone of someone being completely reasonable. Solo. Tactical. Problem: hostage rescue inside the urban warfare facility. 1 hostage. 5 experienced opposing forces from the 101st Airborne. 15-minute time limit. Standard kit. Plate carrier. Ballistic helmet. Rifle with simulation rounds. Sidearm. Basic medical supplies. Sounds reasonable until you understand the context. Standard hostage rescue doctrine requires teams of 4 to 6 operators. Sending one person against 5 defenders in unknown terrain isn't an evaluation. It's theater designed to create failure. The opposing force knows the facility layout intimately. The hostage location is unknown. It's a stacked deck, and everyone watching knows it. Colonel Vance stands near the observation tower, arms crossed, documenting everything for the complaint she's already filed. Safety officers are positioned. Captain Okonkwo is recording official notes. Lennox gears up in silence. Checks her weapon, verifies the simulation bolt is seated correctly, adjusts her plate carrier until weight distributes properly. The rifle is well maintained, but unfamiliar. Different trigger pull than her personal weapon. Slightly heavier stock. Optics. She's never zeroed. Small disadvantages that could mean the difference between hitting and missing. The buzzer sounds. Evolution starts. She enters through the south breach point, immediately moving offline because thresholds are kill zones. First room empty. Movement deeper in the structure. Boots on concrete. They're set up defensively with overlapping fields of fire, waiting for the predictable move. She doesn't give it to them. Go ease. External climbs. To second level, approaches from an unexpected angle. Finds a window position covering 2 interior rooms. Waits with absolute stillness until one defender crosses her field of view. Single shot. Center mass. His sensor vest lights red. She's already moving before the others can react. Drops back down through an emergency exit. Circles the structure. Enters opposite side while defenders reposition to cover the contact area. Leaving gaps she exploits with speed over caution. Finds the hostage in the northwest room. 2 defenders standing guard. Instead of engaging directly, she uses a flashbang simulator. Pulls the pin. Lets it cook for 2 seconds. Throws it through a broken window. The bang is deafening. Both defenders flinch. She's already entering from the opposite door. Weapon up and tracking. 2 shots. Both guards eliminated. She grabs the training dummy, slings it over her shoulders in a fireman's carry, moves toward extraction with 2 defenders somewhere behind trying to re-establish contact. One finds her crossing the main courtyard. She pivots, fires from an unstable position while carrying the dummy, catches him with a shoulder shot. Sensor triggers. Final defender is smart. Doesn't expose himself. Uses suppressive fire to pin her down behind a concrete barrier. 12 minutes elapsed, time running out. Lennox makes a calculation, sets the dummy down in cover, strips off her plate carrier to reduce weight and increase mobility. Moves fast and low around the barrier's edge, catches a defender repositioning. Engages from 20 meters. 3 rounds center mass before he can acquire her. She retrieves the dummy, reaches extraction, sets it down as the buzzer sounds. 14 minutes. 43 seconds. 1 hostage recovered. 5 opponents neutralized. 0 hits taken. The observation tower is completely silent. Hale stands with arms crossed, staring at the tactical display showing Lennox's movement pattern. Unconventional. Aggressive. Devastatingly effective. Colonel Vance's expression suggests vindication. The soldiers who played opposing forces emerge looking confused and impressed. Lennox removes her helmet, face flushed but breathing controlled. She doesn't celebrate, just stands there waiting for whatever comes next. The debrief happens in the observation tower with monitor replays from multiple angles. Hale's confidence looks fractured for the first time all morning. Vance speaks first with the particular edge that comes from watching someone make a career-ending error, before conducting additional evaluations. Maybe they should discuss Petty Officer First Class Graves' actual qualifications. She outlines everything in detail. 6 years, Naval Special Warfare. Bud, S completion at 23. To combat deployments, with direct action raids, and high-threat environments. That classified after-action report from Mosul, documenting her taking command during a compromised operation and successfully extracting her team despite catastrophic intelligence failures and enemy contact. Instructor certifications in close quarters combat. tactical casualty care, adaptive leadership under crisis, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal with Combat V, Joint Service Achievement Medal, a unit citation requiring special clearance to even discuss. When Naval Special Warfare was asked through proper channels for their best tactical expert on urban operations, Lennox was the first person they recommended. The room absorbs this in silence. Vance adds one more thing. An incident report has been filed regarding the physical contact during the morning brief. The Inspector General's office has been notified. They'll be reviewing the matter per military law protocols regarding assault. Hale's face goes through several color changes. He tries to recover, starts saying something about proper vetting procedures. Vance interrupts. His conduct was inappropriate and potentially criminal. His public questioning of a qualified operator based on unexamined assumptions reflected poorly on his judgment. Formal administrative action will follow. Then Lennox speaks. Her voice is quiet, but carries across the room with absolute clarity. She tells Hale his evaluation was tactically sound. The scenario tested legitimate skills under realistic constraints. She appreciated the opportunity to demonstrate her capabilities. Then she adds that in the future, if he has concerns about an operator's qualifications, the professional approach would be reviewing service records and consulting chain of command rather than designing public tests that waste everyone's time and undermine unit cohesion. Delivered without anger, without satisfaction. Just calm, professional feedback. Hale stands, frozen. Everything he assumed just got systematically dismantled. 6 weeks later, Hale receives orders reassigning him to a Pentagon staff position. Official language praises his combat experience, notes the Army's need for senior officers in strategic planning roles. An informal letter of reprimand gets placed in his file following the IG review. Nobody mentions Fort Campbell. Nobody mentions the task force. The Joint Special Operations Task Force gets a new senior advisor, a Marine Corps colonel who spent 20 years in recon. His first action: implementing standardized liaison integration procedures. His second: expanding Lennox's role to lead instructor for urban operations training. She runs a 4-week course that becomes mandatory for all task force personnel, teaches lessons from Mosul. What to do when intelligence fails. How to adapt when situations deteriorate. Why tactical flexibility matters more than rigid doctrine. On the final day, she stands in front of 30 soldiers and Marines, tells them about her father, about Ramadi and the Medal of Honor and the weight of carrying a name that means something to everyone except the person who built it, about the fractures she hid during training, the moments in Mosul when she was terrified but kept moving because people depended on her. She tells them, competence isn't loud, isn't about proving anything to people who've already decided. It's about showing up, doing the work, trusting that results speak louder than assumptions. When she finishes, everyone starts clapping. She nods Sonsei, dismisses the class, walks outside. Her phone buzzes. New deployment cycle starting in 4 months. She pulls her father's challenge coin from her pocket, runs her thumb across the worn surface. She'd proven nothing and everything. The cycle continues.